This is TJ with MyndFrame Media, and this is our first installment of Talk That Talk Buffalo. I have here a gentleman with me who is from the town, and we're going to talk that talk. The point is for us to get into some certain things with the culture that people think about, but they haven't really been talking about in the online space.
Okay.
So, young brother, if you could just introduce yourself and then give us a little bit about what you're doing.
Absolutely. So, my name is John Washington. I'm a community organizer, focused on tenant organizing right now. I've done a lot of things in the town. I used to work for a bunch of different organizations, founded organizations, and I think what I really want to talk about today is it really does take a nation of millions, trillions of dollars to hold us back. And particularly Buffalo, New York is, I think, the most corrupt, the poorest and most segregated city. It's the worst city in America. Damn. I do national housing organizing. You can check the record. I work for national organizations. I've organized in 40 different cities around this country. And we have the worst housing outcomes. I mean, even we're top 3 in poverty. Number 1 and 2, Cleveland, double as many people. Detroit, 10 times as many people. You know what I mean? So when we really look at like the poverty and segregation, it's you talked about a curse. It's not a curse, it's public policy. And it's the fact that Buffalo doesn't have an economy. So because it doesn't have an economy, corruption becomes the economy, because the only way that black and brown people and marginalized people can get jobs because of the Civil Rights Act is if they're federally funded, if they're city jobs, if they're state, county jobs. And then so you have 60 years of niggas fighting over the same jobs, right? And you wonder why the city looks the way it does. And so we blame ourselves and we say, we can't do this and we can't do that. And this community can get this and this community can get that. This nation was designed for us to be a permanent underclass. It was designed for us to be exploited, right? Native Americans and black people, right? Land and labor. Everything is above that. But when you wanted to vote at first, you had to be a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant property owner. Even regular, normal white people weren't white until the 50s and 60s, you know, when they tried to push us down a little bit. And that's why we feel this pressure. We call it gentrification. People don't like immigrants, but the reality is we're on the bottom, and whenever we start to make progress, they insert another group of people to stack up on top of us. And when you do that in New York City, where you have Wall Street and all types of businesses, in Boston, you have industries and businesses, you know, in Chicago, you know, you have, but in Buffalo, we have services. We don't actually have businesses. And with services, you can't really hustle. You know what I'm saying? I can't sell more doctor visits. Actually, you can figure out a way to, but there's a max. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, the message I want to give to my community is we're amazing. Like the fact that we've been able to survive and thrive and do all that we've done when everything is set against us is absolutely crazy to me. And then to realize like who's the biggest employer in Buffalo, right? All employment is going to go back to the governor, to the mayor, to the president, to the Congress people, right? Even the hospitals are funded federally. Even we're at a school board thing right now, right? What did Jen just say? It's all federal funding. So every job in that whole school system is dependent on, you know, what Donald Trump or whoever's in that office is doing. And so to me, when you actually break down the system and how it works, we can counter the system. I think that we're kind of obsessed with the ways that previous people broke down the system and tried to counter the system. But if you're a fighter or you play sports, you know it's all about counters. So we hit them with the civil rights movement, they hit us back with corporate America, and we have yet to actually think about hitting back. Because niggas want to be CEO of the plantation. Right? They want to be entrepreneurs, they want to run shit, but they don't actually want to think intellectually about this whole system, how it works, and what is our rightful place in it. Instead of, oh, I want the CEO spot. I want to be the boss. For hip hop for like 10 years, everybody's like, I'm the boss, I'm a boss, I'm boss. Oh, you want to be boss? Back in the day, we didn't want to be boss. We didn't want to be master, right? We wanted to run away, we wanted to escape. And now the problem with our community is that they've convinced us that there's more possibility that there actually is. They've convinced us that schools and jobs and all these things work when we know they don't. And they've convinced us to operationalize their model with our people. And then when we're mad at these young folks who are like, I can't get a job. I don't want to be boss because I can't even get a job because they won't even hire me. You know what I'm saying? And back in the day, people were like, oh yeah, damn man, brother, you need to stay up. You know, let's find you a job. Come sweep my driveway, you know, come do something. Now, we want to be like them so much, our youth are rejecting society. They're totally rejecting it, and we're rejecting them because we're trying to be more in the society than they are. The reality is there's an intelligence in it. There's some ignorance in it because they're young, but there's some intelligence in them looking around and being like, nah,
that's a fact.
I'm not playing these games. And then we are mad at them for not playing the games and try to push them to play the games, when the reality is movements are built with youth. Dr. King had young people running. Malcolm X had young people running. You know what I mean? They had young people doing things that weren't done before.
Right.
And you know, so anyway, like I said, man, I could keep going forever, but yeah.
All right, well, dang, you going off right now.
You said talk the talk, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and you certainly are, man.
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation with a couple of the elders about this.
Yeah.
Dr. Haynes and Charlie Fisher. They were having a conversation among themselves during a podcast that I was moderating about the fact that they felt like the youth just aren't motivated to be a part of like the movement, just the struggle, so to speak, right? The push, like pushing the culture forward. They feel like the youth are like disengaged, not interested. And I told them, like, I don't think it's that.
No.
It's just
engaged. It's not what you see.
right. It's like they're intelligent and they're very creative. They just can't see it the way that you see it, because there's still so much systematic like sculpting of the older generation that like they don't even, I feel like subconsciously they don't even know that they're trying to impose upon the youth.
This cycle's been happening forever, right? You can read Plato. Plato wrote about
philosophy.
These youth don't listen.
Go.
You know what I mean? Like, you could read anybody and understand at any given point in time, people have said, yo, the youth ain't listening. You know what I mean? But you know what? They said the youth wasn't listening in the 60s. But organizers they weren't hearing that. You know, Dr. King wasn't hearing that. Fannie Lou Hamer wasn't hearing that. Ella Baker wasn't hearing that. You know, they said, no, what do the youth want? What do you want to see? It's my job, because you're a young person, to engage you. It's not your job to align with a system that's done nothing but hurt you. And we all know that feeling. When you was 15 to 20, 25, like, nah, man, I want to buck back at everything. I want no control of me. And as an older person, you be like, well, look, you can't buck back all day, every day. But the reality is you still can sometimes. So we got these two ends of the spectrum. And to me, movements are about moving them together. So it's like, actually, these young people, they're not going to the same type of schools that I went to. They're not going to the same type of schools my mom went to. You know, I had to have that conversation with my mom when I was in high school. I'm like, you went to an amazing school full of black people who literally saw you in 1956, 57 as the future of the world. I'm going to school with a bunch of white teachers who's literally just trying to manage my behavior because of a test. It's not this, so you can say, oh, get your education, but education doesn't mean, and that's my point. The stuff don't mean the same thing. So when you come from an older perspective, you think about it as respect. They haven't realized how much the schools have changed, what the experience is, what's cool, what's not cool. And so it's easy to look at kids and be like, oh, you disrespecting school. I promise you, that person at 14, at 15 was doing the same thing, or was having the same conversation in their head. Even if they were complying, it was spinning in their head, man, I don't want to. You know what I mean? Yeah. And even if you had that guidance.
Right.
And then those schools were actually way more invested in them. Now, they pushing tests. They passing you through when you can't read. They're doing all types of stuff to set you up to fail, and the kid knows it. So then the parent tells them, go here and try really hard. And they're saying, yo, they don't want me to win. I don't feel like trying with them, and then they feel rejected.
Wow.
So we got to embrace the fact that this system was set up to hurt us. We got to be honest with our kids. Yo, you do need to get your education, get you a good job, and stay out of these streets. But I actually accept why you don't want to do that, because if you just look around, that don't look like it's going to work out well for anybody. So I think being more honest and being more real and meeting our kids where they're at and listening more is what we have to do, because every time we've made progress, it has been because youth and elders, people who were wealthy, or the wealthiest of black people and the poorest of black people. Like, we close the contradiction, we act as one. And right now, people who got a little something is saying, I got it, why can't you get it? People that don't is saying, how'd you get that? You know, and everybody's looking at each other funny instead of just saying, hey, at the end of the day, my liberation is tied to yours. The grimiest little nigga in Buffalo, how he's doing is how my son is doing and how I'm doing. And that's, you know, and we talk about the robberies and all that. You mad when you get robbed. You mad when your house gets broken into. You mad when somebody cusses you out. But the reality is we all have lots of opportunities to have impacts on youth that we're skipping over. And it goes back to those African proverbs. Like if they don't feel that warmth, they're gonna create it however they can, however they know how to. And then a lot of older folks don't. Even me, I'm just learning about AI. I'm watching anime with young people and like seeing, oh yeah, that story is actually dope. Looks a little weird to me because I'm a Marvel head, but you know what? That story is dope. And so I just want to see more older people. And I'm 40 now, so I don't know, Unc, OG, whatever. Like, you know, sit down. Like, just tell them what to do. Sit down, watch a little anime with them, play a little game with them, hoop with them, do something with them outside of just, you need to get right in this society that ain't right. It's clearly not right. And so it just bugs me out how so many very religious, very high-level people see the decadence, see the evil, but then can tell a young person, like, almost not to see it, almost not to respond to it, almost not to be angry or disappointed or look at the world like, damn, this shit is messed up. And so I feel like the more you honor that, the more we can actually build relationships and get clear with our kids, and then we can all link up together and do what we ultimately need to do, which is take over every process in our community.
So, what do you think is some of the first steps we can take to like start doing that, so start bridging that gap?
Yeah.
Wait, before you answer that question, it seemed like we were starting to take steps towards that maybe, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago. 60s, 70s, the civil rights movement. But then, I don't know, maybe our leaders, from them getting killed, it just kind of fell off. I don't know what it was.
It didn't fall off. It was slaughtered intentionally. I mean, J. Edgar Hoover, Senator McCarthy, you know, you learn about these things in school, but they don't teach you as black. Like, the FBI was literally created to stop black people, women, queer people, anybody but white people. And even JFK's murder, you know what I mean? Like, he refused. He signed the said he was going to sign the Civil Rights Act. He said he didn't want to kill Castro, you know, and they blew his brains out. And from that time, they killed the movement, you know. And if you look at from Medgar Evers to Martin to Malcolm to the Panthers, they called it COINTELPRO, the FBI counterintelligence program. They killed their own president. I consider JFK and RFK part of that. Like, there was a point where they're like, all right, we done with this. And they weren't just doing that. People were getting lynched. You know what I'm saying? So the other thing I want to say is, in the civil rights movement, I do this right now. Martin Luther King had organizations all across the country. Malcolm X built 164 mosques in 3 years. People didn't just listen to him because he was smart and articulate. They listened to him because he went city to city, bringing knowledge and doing what people in that city wouldn't do, which is bringing out the youth. You know what I'm saying? And so he expanded the Nation of Islam in huge numbers. So he didn't get to Harvard because of how he talked. He learned how to talk because he organized hundreds of thousands of people to act together, to operate together, to show up together. And even he was like, yo, it's the ballot of the bullet. I might not agree, but hey, you want to go get that ballot? Roman Martin, go get that ballot. And if you want to ask me what I think of it, I don't like it. But I'm going to tell you, I know some of you niggas ain't going for the bullet. So if you ain't going for the bullet, you might as well go for and that's what a movement is. A movement is everybody doing their thing in alignment. We don't got to agree. We got to know that the target is white supremacy. The goal is our wealth and prosperity. And if I think I got a way to get it, I'm going to go get it. If you got one and you want to go get it, I'm not going to get in your way. And you're not going to get in my way. And that's what actually overwhelms the system. Because the system, and you know this, fighter, hooper, whatever, you can match anything. You could box with anything. You can't box Malcolm, Martin, Medgar Evers, Fannie Lou Hamer. You can't box 9 different organizations all coming at you at the same time. And so we talk about the March on Washington. It wasn't about I have a dream. It's about 300,000 black people coming together. And there was 19 other speakers from 19 other organizations. He was the finale. And of course, deservedly so. But we don't talk about that was so many organizations coming together for jobs and freedom.
Yeah, good point, man. Good point. Yeah, we were talking about this with Fisher about like how important mobilization is. For sure. So yeah, appreciate you, man. You just you dropped some shit, man.
Yeah, man. I
know you got more.
Yeah.
You talking that talk right now. Well, tell us where we might be able to find you on social media or anything you got going on, and then we'll just wrap up from there.
Yeah, wrap up real quick. I think housing is the infrastructure of capitalism, and capitalism is racial, right? There's no capitalism. Capitalism started with brown land and black labor, and it could not start without free labor, and still to this day, there are slaves in Africa, there are slaves running across that border, getting yoked up and dragged back as we speak to build all we have. Because I think undocumented immigrants are the modern day slaves. They grow our food, they fix our houses, all the stuff that we don't want to do, and that's why they keep them undocumented, because if they were documented, they would have rights, they could fight for better wages and jobs, and why do you hire them? Because they're the cheapest and the hardest working, because they had to run their ass here just for the opportunity. So for me, capitalism is disorganizing us, and it's disorganizing black people, and it starts with our housing system. If you get Buffalo, it is the segregation, it is where our houses are, the quality of them, and so I organize tenants, and I run campaigns in buildings. The BMHA stole $800 million, corrupt institution, these slumlords are corrupt as hell, and black people are tenants more than anybody else because of redlining, and redlining still exists. Yes, some folks who got their P's and Q's perfect are doing great, love that, but the reality is, it is 10 times harder for a black person to own a home than it is for anybody else, and then to maintain it. And so I focus on organizing tenants. I focus on organizing tenants in buildings, organizing communities around how they're taxed and how people are trying to take land away from us. Because gentrification is just a process. It's not a natural process, but it's the result of a housing market. And so for me, that's what I'm focused on. That's where you get the policing too, right? The police come there to protect the property, right? We don't see good policing with this bad property. Yeah. Right? You don't see that. They don't come for hours. Bodies laying around, all types of shit where there's no good property. So, but once they move that good property, and the policing changes. So to me, it all starts with our housing system, people owning their homes, but also collective ownership, not just individual ownership. Okay, you need to own your home. I need to own my home. We all need to own the park across the street. So I think that's one of the places it starts. I'm with the Tenant Union Federation, tenantfederation.org. You can catch me on social media. John Washington on Instagram with 2 eyes on the second, so John Washington 2 eyes, and I'm out here at events. Holla at me.
All right, thank you, brother. I really appreciate you giving us the insight, because sheesh, you're doing a lot, and you clearly have a lot of knowledge that you can give. So hopefully this can reach the right people. We're gonna be doing this a lot. We're about to be in your face on something crazy right now. So Mr. John Washington, he's going to be a part of this. Hopefully we can get you on at some other point in another forum, but we're looking to really do our part as media and get the people who have the knowledge, the experience, and the message for them to be able to get, like, we're not only are we looking to push the needle forward, but we're trying to do something in a. You ever heard of quantum leaping? Oh yeah.
Oh no, this is just the quantum realm, baby.
Yeah. Okay. So I won't lose you at all, but
no.
We're looking to do something special. Yeah. And a lot of people, they look at us and they're they think that it's an impossible task, but it starts with one conversation at a time. Mm-hmm. It starts with one message, one moment at a time, where we can actually figure out, all right, we're all saying the same thing, so let's do it together, So thank you, man. I really appreciate you coming on. TJ, MyndFrame Media, Talk That Talk, signing out.